Ahoy there, mateys! It's Captain Jet, and we're going to be discussing popular builds in Diablo 3. So we're going to start with one of the most popular, most used, in my opinion, is the Death Nova build with Trag'ouls set. So we're going to start with the main equipment. So for this equipment, we will have 5 pieces from the Trag'ouls set, starting with the helm, Trag'ouls guys, the scales for the armor. We'll have the claws for the gloves, the pants, of course, the hide for the pants, and the greaves for the feet. For this set, we will be proccing Blood Rush Siphon to gain the effect of every rune, which is good. And also, what's good with this one is that the life spending abilities, which we'll be using a lot of, is going to be will have no life, or it will not cost any life at all. For the next effect that we'll be proccing would be having full life. Your healing or your healing from skills will be added to your life for 45 seconds, up to 300% more. So that's, of course, will add to our survivability. 6-piece set will proc your abilities to have additional 10% damage, and your healing skills will have double efficiency. So that's for the Trag'ouls set. Another set we'll be having would be the Trag'ouls, which we are going to be incorporating 2 of. That would be the shoulders and the bracers right here. And the effects we'll be proccing would be for 2 sets, or a set of 2. It would reduce damage to 15% and increase damage dealt by 30%, so which is good. And 3-piece set, it would reduce damage from elites by 30% and increase the damage against elites, or rather 30 from and to elites. That's going to be 30%. So you'd notice that we have 5 pieces and 2 pieces for Trag'ouls. 5 pieces from Trag'ouls set, and so it doesn't make sense to have that. Maybe you would ask. Maybe, but if you're a seasoned player, I guess you wouldn't. But we'll discuss that later on when we go to the Kanai's Cube items. So from there, we'll go to the waist, which will be using Dainty's binding, which effect would be gaining additional, that's variable, but I have a 42% damage reduction when your opponents are afflicted with curses. And we'll be using, later we'll go through the skills, and we'll be using a passive curse. Okay, so moving on, we have the Funerary Pick for our weapon. That's a weapon of choice. And the effect we're looking for is the Siphon Blood, proccing or dealing damage rather to 2 more additional targets. And each target we have a variable amount, in this case 266% increased damage, unless you only have 1 target. So yep, which is good either way. It also has would give a bonus from the Siphon Blood power ship, which is now 20% per stack, and benefits all skills. Okay, that's good. For the offhand, we'll have the Iron Rose, and reading through it, it would increase, or rather, technically this is going to be proccing a Blood Nova. It's the best kind of Nova. While you're channeling your Siphon Blood. So yep, so that's basically one of the main damage dealers that we'll be using. Moving on to our accessories, we have Haunted Visions for the amulet, and for our rings we have Crispin Sentence and Convention of Elements. So moving back to Haunted Visions, this is going to help us a lot because it's going to make our simulacrum. Did I pronounce that right? Simulacrum to last forever, so you don't have to cast it over and over, so long as it doesn't die. So that's that. But of course, you'll be asking what's the deal. So it's going to take something back, which is 1%. It's going to be draining 1% of your maximum life per second, which sounds bad, but that sounds bad on paper. But well, you have at this point, once you completed the set, you should have more than 1%, at least, of life recovery. So it's going to cover for that. Now, moving on to Crispin Sentence, so this would deal a variable amount of increased damage against slowed enemies, or a triple bonus on enemies that afflict the other type of control impairing effects. Later on, we'll discuss more. So it's going to be synergizing with some other effects. And for Convection of Elements, this would give us increased damage for single element rather, for 4 seconds. So it's going to be rotating for through all the elements every 4 seconds. So it includes arcane, cold, fire, holy, lightning, physical, and poison. Okay, moving from there, we'll be discussing our legendary gems. So we'll have a Bane of Stricken. So there are 2 effects here. So each attack you make against an enemy will increase the damage it takes from all your attacks. And you'd also gain 25% increased damage against bosses and Rift Guardians. Once you hit it to 25, at least 25 of the level for the legendary gem. We'll discuss that further in depth in the following videos. But moving on, we'll have a Zay Stone of Vengeance, which would give, which would deal damage or increase damage for every 10 yards between you and the enemy hit. So the further your enemy is, it would deal increased damage for every 10 yards. So that's a maximum of 55 for every 50. For I think the furthest, which would be, I think, the furthest reach of your Nova and the Nova of your simulacrums. You also gain at level 25 of the gem 20% chance to hit 20% chance of your hit to the enemy to stun for 1 second, which is good. It's going to be synergizing with our Crispin. And we also have Bane of Trapped for the last gem, which would give us increased damage against enemies under the effects of control impairing effects. So this all interconnects. So what I have is 42%, so that's a lot. And here's what we're talking about. It would give you, or you would gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies rather, within 15 yards by 30%. So that's going to be synergizing a lot with everything. Okay, now we'll move on to the Kanai's Cube. So our choice of weapon for the weapon slot rather would be the Blood-Tide Blade, which is total OP. It's going to give our Death Nova, which is our main damage dealing skill, a 40% increased damage for every enemies within 25 yards, up to 25 enemies. So just to give you the context here, the more enemies that are cramped around you, the more damage you would deal. So it would really, you might want to think of going, or I think the idea is luring or kiting a lot of enemies in one place, or using your skills or your Nova while you're in the middle of a lot of enemies. So yep, that's 40. Imagine 400% times 25. That's the maximum damage output you could do. Okay, moving on, we have manual channeling. So as we've discussed earlier, or I mentioned, not discussed. So we'll be using Siphon Blood. So while siphoning blood, while siphoning blood, you will have or you will deal 25 increased damage, and you will take 25 reduced damage. So you're not going to be sitting duck. So that's actually one of the main features of this set. Now, lastly, we have the Ring of Royal Grandeur, which would reduce the number of items needed for the set bonuses by 1, so to a minimum of 2. So if we're aiming for a set effect of 6 items, or items with 6, a set item with 6 equipments, or 6 items per se. So it would just require 5, just like what we have here. So I have 5 pieces of Trag'ouls, but the effect will give you a set of 6 rather. And that's the same with the Ogre's Power, which the whole set of 3 would only require 2 equipments. Okay, so that's it for the equipments. We'll be moving on to our skills. So for our skills, we will have for our primary, we have Siphon Blood with Power Shift. I think at least for my choice. We have on the secondary, for the right click, we have Death Nova with Blood Nova. So just in case you need a quick release of Death Nova, and you can't wait for the split second of proccing from your Siphon Blood, you have your Death Nova there. We have Bone Armor with Dislocation for an instant stun, which would increase the damage of your Death Nova. Blood Rush with Hemostasis rather. This is your main logistic skill rather. Of course, we have Simulacrum with Blood and Bone, so that's going to help us deal more damage. So while we're proccing that Death Nova, we have a couple more outlet for those nukes. We have Frailty for the last slot here, with Aura of Frailty, which would emit an aura that applies a crippling curse, which would instantly kill your enemies at low health. So yep, that's instant death. And the best thing about it is it's an aura, you don't need to cast it. For our passive, we have Spreading Malediction, which would give you 1% damage bonus for each enemy afflicted by one of your curses. We have Standalone, so since you have no active minion, I'm not sure if Simulacrums are counted as minions, but if you do know, please leave a comment down below and tell me, so we could, or a lot more of our viewers would know as well. So what this does, this passive Standalone, increases armor by 100%, reduced by 10% for each active minion. So at most we would have 2 or 20 rather percent of the damage of reduction from the armor. Either way, it's still a big plus. So since we're not going to be using a lot of minions, it's not going to hurt us as much. We have Final Service for the 3rd slot, which would give you sort of a chance to escape death for a while, which is very important for Necromancer, as you know. So for 4 seconds, you will also heal for 10% of your life per minion. I might think that simulacrums might be minions. So if so, you have 10%. So that's 20% of your life per second. Is that per second? Yeah, per second. So you'll have full life in no time. And this gives you what? Plus 80% armor, so which is good. Swift harvesting for the last, that would increase the attack speed of your bone spikes, siphon blood, and grim sight. So disregard everything else. It's just for siphon blood in this case. Okay, so let's see. Let's do a test run. I don't think I have a key, so probably just now I just want to show you what it looks like. So we'll just run with this one for a bit. So first we'll do simulacrum, and then you use your. My follower has an equipment that gives you random what do you call it? Pylon? Is it pylon effect? Every time you use a potion, so use a potion whenever you can. We'll discuss more on that. I'll do another video with recommended equipments for followers, but that's one equipment. Oh, there's another pylon, but I just heard someone giggling. I think we should kill this one. So I'm just doing siphon blood at this point, and you notice that it's proccing a lot of novas. So yep, that's what happens. I'm not using the right click yet. Also, you notice that there's an elite set or elite monster that procced up when I went to the pylon. That's because one of the equipments of my follower, I think it's a bracer. It summons one of the one random elite monster, which is good when doing these runs. So there you go. So I'm not taking that much damage. So I'm at torrent 16. Okay, we'll just finish this one. Okay. It's a work. It's a walk in the park, really. If you notice. Yep. And I guess that's it. I'll just run through the base, the town portal, and yep, that's it. Trag'ouls Nova build for Necromancer. So that is it. So that's it for this video. If you like the video, like the content, please do like and share the video. Also, if you could subscribe, it would really help the channel a lot. Also, if you want to, you could go ahead on the notification bell icon, because I release videos well, mostly every day. Okay, so this is me again, Captain Jet, and I will see you in the next video.
Savvy.